So this car's got some serious problems when it comes to window channels. We got rust, we got holes, we got lots of damage. And I think to a lot of people this will look very daunting, but for every problem there's a solution. And in many cases there's more than one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna explore the options, see what we can do, what needs to be repaired, what needs to be replaced, what makes sense for us. At the same time, doing a job like this gives you the opportunity to tackle hidden rust. Woo, she's a rusty son. And although this is a 72 Nova, the principles of what we're gonna be doing can be applied to pretty much any vehicle. So you don't have to have exactly this vehicle do this. So I think it's time to start looking at our options. Let's see what we can do. My name is Trooper Max, and I'm restoring a car that's been off the road since 1977. But I've never done this before. I've taken the time to do my research, and I'm building the car of my dreams, hoping to inspire others to do the same. So we're working on our Nova today, and we were actually working on the roof previously. We had ripped this thing off because we found rust, and then we're gonna put the new one on, and we realized that we got a lot more problems than we thought. And it just doesn't make sense to put the roof on. You gotta remember this thing's almost like laminated together. You got different pieces, and there's a certain order of things. If I put the roof on, I can't replace other things. You know, anything over here, it's all laminated. The roof is the last piece. So what we're gonna do is we're going the extra step. Basically, what I want to do is tackle some rust. Now the top over here I've already done. This we did previously on the roof. We kind of just restored the top part here. Check it out, it looks great. The first coat looks really, really good. I'm really pleased. So it's all ready to go. It's ready to receive our roof skin. But what we still have to do is deal with the side channels and the bottom. So now looking at the bottom here, I didn't even notice there was rust. And looking into it, there's holes. It doesn't make sense to, just try to button this up. We have to fix this properly. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be tackling this. And at the same time, these window channels actually sit on something and it's completely rotted away from the inside. So that means we gotta figure out how to fix that. So what's the first step? The first step is to look how this is all assembled. And basically, you have this piece over here, and these are called your sails, and this is where the channels are, and then you have your roof on top, and then you have the lower dash over here. So what we have to do is this lower dash is actually sitting on the sails, so it doesn't make sense for me to fix this. If you look at the rust here, it's just really far. It would be really difficult to fix this, and there's just really no way of doing this properly. The only thing I could do is replace it. And even though this car is over 50 years old, guess what? They make replacements, and for a lot of classic vehicles they do. So you can actually buy this whole piece. This is $100. That's all it costs. It's just so much easier in my mind to buy something like this than try to manufacture the bottom. It's just not going to look right. So that's what we're going to do. And at the same time, the reason I want to do that rather than try to fix it is because water has been getting in here. It's been penetrating. And if I look inside this thing, it's full of rust. And that rust, you cannot get to it unless you remove this. So now we have to think of the layers, right? If we're doing this and I'm putting in all this effort, I might as well remove this, tackle that rust, put some epoxy primer paint there. I will never have to touch it again. Even if water gets in there, it's never gonna destroy it ever again. It's just bare metal in there. That's how they made these cars back in the day. So it's not protected. So yes, this top piece, it sits on top of the sail panel. We're gonna replace it. So we're gonna take it off, remove it, and we're gonna fix it. And once that's done, we can tackle these sides here and figure out what our options are here for this channel. But what if the situation really isn't that bad, just needs a little freshening up? That's kind of what I got going on here. I removed this window earlier, and the channels for the most part are good, and the top is gonna be replaced with a new roof skin. When you order a roof, it comes with the channel, so I don't have to worry about it. It's gonna be okay. And I had done some work over here just prepping to put that on, laminate on. However, this channel here, it's still kind of exposed. There's a little bit of rust happening. There's not really any holes, but there's something I'm gonna do just to preserve this as long as possible because I don't want this to continue to rot. Can't just paint over this, it's gonna keep rusting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna strip it first, and I'm gonna treat the rust and make this last forever. So already taking the time to remove the adhesive and get close to bare metal as much as I can. But next, now what I got is I got these clips. So these are the clips that the trim sits in. I gotta remove them. Most of them are just rusted away completely, but we have to remove these things because they're in the way. We are gonna be putting new ones. They do make replacement ones, so that's what I'm gonna do, put all new ones. If I'm putting a new window in here, might as well put new clips. So gotta remove these guys, and we wanna put the new ones in the exact same spot where they were. So I've removed the clip. The clip is now gone. It's exposed here. Now this little stud is not actually gonna come out. It's gonna stay in there because the clip just goes on. You don't have to remove this, so we're gonna keep those on. All right, so on this side, the clips are somewhat intact, so I can actually remove them. They're just so much taking a screwdriver and pushing down. There we go. That's it. So what I gotta do next is I gotta actually strip this down and see the condition. The best way to do that is just start lightly. So what I like to do, I like to use this to drill with a wire wheel attachment. This is a really simple method, but it works really well. And I usually get a kit with a whole bunch of different attachments and just really useful to have. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So we'll slap this on and we'll see what it looks like. So it's rusty, but it has no holes. I'm gonna keep going here. I'm gonna keep stripping it. I'm gonna use something a little more heavy duty now. So I'm gonna use this. This is stripping disc basically. All right, so this is really annoying. I can't friggin' see. Full face mask. Now, this face mask might seem like overkill, and even though I'm not in a big biohazard or anything, this is great because it protects your eyes, it protects your lungs, it protects your face, and at the same time, best part about it is, check this out. No fogging! I can actually see what the hell I'm doing. And I'm gonna keep working. This is awesome. So we've concluded our sanding, and wow, check it out, what a difference. I'm actually amazed at how great this looks. For the most part, everything's really nice and silver, and I'm really impressed how these basic tools did. This little guy here with this pad, it did a great job. It just got in there and I was able to remove, you know, all the paint, all the body filler, primer, all that kind of stuff very easily. It did a good job. And all the areas that I couldn't get into, I was able to use, you know, this guy over here. I gotta say, I'm really impressed by this guy. This just came with a pack of all the brushes I got, and this was awesome. And the coolest part about all this is I didn't need a sandblaster. Like, I know it'd be way quicker, you definitely get in there more. There is still a little bit of rust that we can't get out, not having the sandblaster, but that's okay, because this is the more painful, slow way, but it's definitely less expensive. It's a lot quieter and a lot less noise and mess. So it's a great option to have for people that don't have a sandblaster like myself. However, there's still a bit of rust, and in some areas you'll see there's deep rust, and you know, there is a way to take care of that as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use chemistry instead of stripping it. So I'll show you what product we're gonna use to fix this. So overall, everything's looking really good. We've removed the vast majority of the rust. There's probably a little bit left, a little bit of pitting here. But what we wanna do is now, we wanna preserve this so that this never rusts again. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this product. It's called OSFO. We've used it before in several other videos. This is a great product. It just works really well. Essentially, you can actually remove more rust with it. So what you gotta do first is take a rag, you put it on, and we don't wanna soak this, we just wanna kinda get it on. And what OSFO will let us do is if we take a Scotch-Brite pad, one of these bad boys, you can actually remove some of the rust you weren't able to with other tools. So if you see this, I start scratching here, it starts getting all muddy. It actually looks dirty. Now I sanded the hell out of this, and look how much stuff is coming off. Despite all the elbow grease I put in with the sanders, look at this. Look how dirty that is. So basically the idea is, put your OSFO on, you rub it, you take it off, and then you repeat, and you just keep going over and over again until you are happy with it. Now we don't have to remove everything. The black you're not gonna remove. That's deep rust, that's there to stay. But what this product is gonna do is it's gonna encapsulate the rust. This is also a rust encapsulator, not just a rust remover. So we've removed quite a bit there. I'm pretty happy with it overall. Now the idea is you wanna remove as much as you can. You don't want this drenched, okay? You just want it slightly moist. Like, I see streaks there, that's too much. I'm gonna grab another rag that's drier and kind of, there we go. Because what's gonna happen is it's gonna turn hard, believe it or not. And then it's gonna trap the rust in there and it's gonna make it like an etching primer, so we're gonna be able to paint this. So that's pretty cool. Now I understand we're throwing a lot of tools at you guys, so if there's any tools that you need that you see in this video, just check the description, links below, and you can get those tools as well. Now, as nice as it would be to be able to just restore everything, that's not the situation a lot of people are gonna have. A lot of people are gonna have this situation, which is holes and damage, and that means doing some sophisticated metal work. Now, this is what I originally had in mind. Like when I was looking at this, I said to myself, well, I'll cut this channel out and replace it and go from there. But you can't actually buy this channel. You have to manufacture it yourself. But in my case, what happens is even if I were to cut this out, if you look at this panel here, there's rust here, there's rust here. And what I would have thought before, and a lot of people are gonna think, is just take a grinder, you know, cut it here, take this out and weld a new one. But it's not that simple, because the thing is, if the metal's like this, it's extremely fatigued. So if there are holes here, likely it's gonna be fatigued all the way up here. So you actually gotta replace this entire channel. And even if you do that, up here it might be fatigued as well. So when it comes time to weld this, it's gonna be very difficult. And since this is a place that's gonna be seen, it's gonna be extremely hard to make this look good. This is the single biggest problem I've had on this project, is I would cut stuff out and replace it, but when it came time to weld it, the metal I'm welding to is so weak, it just burns right through it. Like I did that with my floor pans. It took so much longer, so I always have to think, you know, what would be easier in the long run? You might be saving, you know, some money by cutting this stuff out, but it's better to replace it. So I'll show you what I could do later on, but most people are not gonna do that. So what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna show you what I would do if I did have to fix this, because there's a solution to do that. First thing is to pop out these clips, just like in the front, come out pretty easily. So in some cars and later model vehicles, you won't actually be able to do that. You will have to remove these guys. And what you do is you just take a pair of pliers, you put it on and pull. There'll be rubber inside, so they'll come out quite easily. These ones don't come out, they stay in, so we're not touching them. So for repairing the channels, really the only option is grabbing a piece of steel, cutting out a template, welding it together and putting it in. But I'm not gonna be doing that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I would do it with cardboard, because that's how you do it in the first place anyways. Make your template first and then go this. It's just kind of easier. So in this situation, I would actually use cardstock instead of cardboard or metal or anything like that. It's much easier just to cut paper than cut metal. So I would just take it, trace it along, and then I would be able to use that piece as my template. Cut it out, and once that piece is out, then you take another piece, you put it on, and basically then you figure out your angle. Now, then you'd take that and you'd essentially weld it together in place, but to itself. You wouldn't weld it into this thing. So just weld the edge, kind of tack weld, just have it hold together. And then we can cut this out, we put the piece in, and then once the piece is in, it's gonna be longer, it's gonna stick out. But what you do is you just weld it in, and then you take your grinder and just chop it off. So you will never be short, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much the best way to do it. Now there is gonna be some repairing we're gonna have to do underneath, because although you see this channel here, it's rusty and everything, it's gonna be gone. This isn't gonna be here anymore the way we're gonna fix it. There's another one underneath and that one's compromised, so I will be able to show you how to do that. But that's later on. If you are thinking of doing your roof, you're gonna have the window channel in the roof already. So the roof skin has the window channel, it's lying right there. And as you can see, it's already got it. So it's gonna be brand new, it's gonna look great. And it just goes on here. So that's another option. All right, now it's time to do the deed of replacing the rear dash panel or upper deck filler. And I know right now a lot of people are thinking, Max, what the hell are you doing? Why are you replacing it? It looks fine, just patch it. Well, if you look where the rust is and how the rust is, there's so many pinholes, there's not enough structural integrity in this. Even though it looks fine, trying to weld that, and that piece is such an odd piece, I can never make that look good. Plus, this new piece, it's like I mentioned before, it's only $100. It's much easier just to replace it. To remove it, we just have to understand of how it's put in, and it's put in through a process known as spot welding. What you do is you just grab a drill, and what I got on here is the Blair spot weld cutter. This is basically a tip, it's just designed to remove the spot weld. So it's got a little spring-loaded tip, which basically you press on there, and then you just start drilling. So we're gonna find the welds, I'll show you exactly where they are, drill them out, and then this thing should pop out. So the spot welds are actually in this channel here, and they're hard to see, but they're little indents. So if you clean it off, bam, there's your spot weld right there. And what you do is you take your cutter, put on top, and it's just as easy as drilling it out. There we go. So I'm through now. Now it's hard to see, but there's two pieces of metal here. I don't want to go through the metal on the bottom, so you really got to be careful and you just want to disconnect one piece of metal. So that's what we did right there. And rust will appear if the joint is compromised, and that's a good indicator that you're through. And check this out. Anybody who thinks I should be repairing that, I would double check that, because honestly, there is no structural integrity in this at all. It's just done. So here's another example, it's probably easier to see. So all along the perimeter you'll have spot welds. And outside here is the same deal. And you just drill those bad boys out. If it gives you agony, just drill a little pilot hole. And there we go, we're through. And what's making me feel really good right now is seeing all this rust here is a good indicator that what we're doing is worthwhile, because that's a problem. So now it's just a matter of going all the way around, getting rid of all our spot welds and moving on to the next step. Alrighty, so we've cut out our spot welds, we're ready to remove this thing, and I'm not really sure exactly how to remove this because I haven't removed one of these before. But I do know one thing: to remove spot welds, you need a special tool. You need one of these guys, the old pneumatic Rocky jabs. No, but really, this is just a pneumatic hammer. It's used with a compressor and just gives the ability to delaminate surfaces really quickly without having to use a hammer and chisel. You just go underneath the metal and it will force it apart and delaminate it. However, I don't really see much access over here, so it might be difficult. We might have to use the grinder, but we're gonna give this thing a shot. I do see one area here we can start, and if it works in there, then we can see if we can remove this thing. Try to go below the metal here in between the two pieces and hope you get lucky. Let's see. Oh yeah. Now, if the piece doesn't want to come out, likely the spot weld has not been cut properly. That's the case. I just can't access that. It's in a really weird area, but just gonna use a little force. There we go. See, that's dislocating now. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so this confirms my suspicion. There's just not enough room there as I originally thought. I was able to disconnect this, but there's no way I could access these ones or the ones over here. So what I gotta do is I gotta cut this, and that way, then I could access the other ones. Alrighty, for cutting, I'm gonna be using a grinder. I just use a regular electric corded grinder. I don't really use battery operated too much, even though I have a whole set of tools. I just find the batteries heat up too quickly and you can't use them. So it's not so much about them getting exhausted, it's about them heating up. So having a corded grinder, it just works so well. Plus it's the cheaper method. And I actually like to use these cutoff wheels. I got these by accident a while back, and honestly, these have saved me so much trouble. You put one of these on, I'm cutting for, days and days and days. I was able to cut like half my floor pans with these things, just one. Whereas usually for each part, I would use like 2 or 3 blades. So these are awesome, I definitely recommend them. What we're gonna do is just cut through now. I am looking underneath to see where there's metal, because I don't wanna cut through anything I'm not supposed to. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. What do you think, Pookie? Is Dad doing a good job? Yeah? No? I need to work harder. Look, check this out. I would have just left all this. Look at all this rust. Hidden rust. This is what you gotta do. You gotta cut it out, cut the cancer, and deal with it. You can see a lot of water did get in here, and this is exactly why we're doing this. It's worth going the extra level because, wow, that's even a lot more rust than I expected, but it's not in bad shape. I'm glad this piece is still good. This could be fixed. We're gonna treat it, remove the rust, put our new piece on, and that's done. This is awesome. Pretty cool, eh, buddy? Yeah! That's what it's all about. Next stage is to strip the rust. And when you don't know what the best tool for the job is, like me, might as well try them all. So we removed our panel and we've inspected the rust, and clearly it's a good idea that we're gonna be tacking this thing, because this hidden rust would not be accessible after this is done. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, and this is kind of my army of rust removal tools. I got a whole bunch of different things here. I'm gonna kind of try everything out. I've used them all before, but depending what we're doing here, I'm not sure, something might work better than something else. So we're gonna just try it all out. And I'm kind of just gonna go through all the stuff we got. So the first thing we got is, obviously we have our mask. We need a mask for this. This is dirty stuff. And I've been doing this for a while now, and I started getting really sick by not wearing a mask and just having goggles. So that's why I'm using a full face mask. I know it might be overkill, but if you're doing it more often, you can run into trouble like I did. And I got these two guys. I already used these earlier on, but we're gonna try them here. I always use welding gloves for hardcore stuff just because regular gloves just really don't do it. And these are just nice and tough, so I use that. For large surfaces, this seems overkill. It's a surface conditioning tool. It's used for stripping large areas, doing body work, that kind of stuff. And you could put a lot of different attachments on it. But for something like this might seem like a small space, but if I could just blast through it with this, that would work great. I predict that's gonna work pretty well. Next thing, we got pneumatic tools. So we have a stripper, much like this one over here, but this one's pneumatic, so it's much quicker, but it requires a compressor. And then we got this belt sander here, this air belt sander. This is really awesome. It's really good for like breaking down welds, things like that. It's just a little more precise. You can get in places you can't anywhere else. And then finally we have our grinder, and this is with a flap disc. So a flap disc is basically used to break down welds, metal, that kind of stuff. You don't really want to use it for sanding. Let's take all these tools, see what works, and we'll figure out what worked best. You know, I really was amazed of how well that drill worked with those attachments, with the wire and the stripping disc. It did amazing, honestly, for something that's so quiet. But what really was amazing was the SCT. The SCT just ripped right through it. It was so fast. It made short work of it, so that saved me a lot of time. So I'm not sure what my favorite tools, but I think a combination of them all really make this job easy. But the one that did impress me was the mini belt air belt sander. That one does a really good job getting to areas you can't. There's some areas that's the only tool that will get in there. So, oh, wow, that looks amazing. It almost looks brand new. You know, I would say we've probably removed around 99% of the rust. It's incredible. It worked really well. You know, who needs a sandblaster, right? It'd probably be a lot faster, but you know, for low budget operations like mine, it worked just fine. So last thing I want to do is just to get rid of the rest of the rust and ensure it doesn't come back. Use our Osfo, we used it earlier, and the Osfo is just gonna ensure this doesn't rust again, plus it's gonna remove any sort of rust we may have missed. So we're gonna use chemistry instead of elbow grease. Well, still a little elbow grease. Alrighty, so we've applied the Osfo, we've removed as much as we can. We don't actually wanna leave much on because it will flake off. And we're just gonna leave this thing and we're gonna check it out when it's done, and I'll show you what it looks like when Osfo does its magic. So once again, the Osfo did a marvelous job cleaning up the rust and converting the remaining rust into a paintable surface. But what's really exciting is this bad boy here. Finally, after several weeks delayed, we got our sale. So this is our solution to this problem. So let's take a look at this piece here. It's already got the built-in channel. So this is where our window is going to sit. So now we can actually remove this. I had no idea how big this piece was, and putting it on here, you can see it's kind of a weird shape. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to know where it starts, where to finish. I didn't want to remove anything until I had this. So now I know. I put it on here. What I could do is actually mark where it ends. But this is done a little differently. Like, this piece is all one piece. So I can't cut it here. I have to cut it higher and actually fold this up and put it on top and then spot weld this onto here. That's the only way to do it. So that's what we're going to be doing. And then now we can move on. We can treat the rust underneath and go from there. I already got a problem as it is. If you look here, you're probably wondering what the hell happened in this quarter panel. We've exposed it. While I was waiting for that stuff, I started working on the quarter panels, and I worked on the other side. It's kind of a nightmare. And then I started taking this thing apart. And yeah, biggest challenge so far. But in the meantime, I didn't want to stop working, so I worked on those. Back to this now, because I want to get the top done first and then go there. All right, now it's just a case of drilling out the spot welds, disconnecting the channel from the inner structure, and finally cutting out the sail. So what do you think?
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, right. See, I had people ask me, why are you gonna rip this apart? That's why, you know. Look at all that, it's brutal.
It's crazy.
Isn't it nuts? Like, I'll save it, it's still strong enough, but if I didn't touch this, look, it would just all be gone.
Oh my God, what the heck happened here?
Bunch of kids in the 70s screwing around. Like, look how god-awful that looks. I have one regret. I really regret not buying an entire quarter panel. Like, so bad. Because I really want to treat all of this. So I think I'm gonna have to get creative, much like when it comes time to the quarter panels, I'm gonna have to get creative, much like on the other side, which I got really creative. And it's not like a creative that you wanna do. Ah, man, that's brutal. That really sucks about that. Yeah, quarter panel video is gonna be something else. I recommend you stick around for that one because it's gonna be, it's gonna be something else. It's gonna be a battle. Woo, she's a rusty son of a bitch. Wow, so as bad as this looks, it's actually a lot better than I expected. I expected this whole channel to be gone. If you look at this area here, it's actually quite solid. This area here is quite gone, but the rest of it, it's actually really solid. So no, I'm not gonna be replacing the whole channel. So I think we're just gonna repair this area here, put something, remove the spot welds here, strengthen it up so this corner is tied together, and then just restore the rest. All right, so I'm having some thoughts here, and I feel like I had to share a moment of honesty. You know, earlier on I had said that I've never done this before, and that's true, you know? And I think it's easy to get overwhelmed with something like this once in a while. And you know, I go on the online and check other videos of people doing stuff, and you know, people got metal benders and this and that, they're rolling it around, it's so beautiful, their welds are awesome. Then you got me with this crude cutout thing, and I'm gonna put on some crappy welds. And you know, I'm really hoping this all works together because I got to tie it all together, and I hope it doesn't move. And then I got to put the sails on, and yeah, I'm just a little nervous about it because you know this is a big thing. I hope everything lines up. So this is what we got going on here. Got a piece of metal on top. It's clamped on. I haven't removed the metal underneath yet. I wanted to get the right size first. I have it all going around the contour, and then it goes underneath here because I actually want to weld it to the bottom. This is where I want my strength to be, so I could tie this corner together. So we'll see if this works or not. I have no idea. You know, this is the best I could do for my skill level, but we'll give it a shot. We'll start putting it together, and you know, I'm just worried to line all this stuff up. Having never done this before, so I'm having a moment of self-doubt right now, but I'm gonna keep going. So I just had a holy shit Sue moment. So as I was doing all that, and amongst all my self-doubt, I just had a really cool thing happen to me. I was working here, and I decided to clean out this channel here, because when I cut this piece out, there's a little piece of metal left in here, the lip, and basically grind it down, which is what I was doing on the roof. And then I couldn't find the spot weld, so I just kind of ground it down with a grinding stone. But here what I did is I took my drill with this attachment, right? And I just ran it through with wire brush, and it exposed the welds, and I was able to actually find all the spot welds, and I just took a drill and drilled them out, and I removed them, and it exposed a hell of a lot of rust. So I went all the way down, and all of a sudden I got this channel now cleaned up the way I have to. So this is super cool. You know, now it fits pretty freaking well, actually. I'm actually really pleased that I'm still doing my roof. I'm actually gonna go back and do that all the way around the roof because I got a new tool now to play with. This little wire brush here saved the day. I'm still getting this thing ready. I'm almost ready to weld it on, but I'm really pleased with the fact that this sail here is now fitting really, really nicely. This is super cool. I'm really excited about this. It's awesome when stuff like that happens. Alrighty, I'm at the stage now. I'm gonna do some welding. Gonna put that bracket on. No, I'm not gonna show you any welding advice because I'm a god-awful welder, so might as well leave that to the pros. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use this guy over here. This is just a basic MIG unit. Pretty cool welder here, you know, it's a 3-in-1. You could do TIG, you can do MIG welding, you can do lots of different things. Pretty cool. So we're gonna be using this guy. We're just gonna go around, put our piece on, weld it, and we're gonna go from there. This is not gonna be pretty. Would you look at that? Check that out. I'm actually quite proud of that. I can't believe how good that came out. I'm as surprised as you guys are right now, trust me. So the piece went on, it looks really good. There is so much more structural integrity. Like before, this thing was just flopping around, so I'm really happy about this. It's really making me question the rest of this here. The bottom part here is a lot weaker, but it's still strong enough. But this is great. Now we've got a lot of strength here. This is what we wanted, so mission successful. Not bad, eh? I'm pretty proud of that. Alrighty, so check this out. We got some progress happening. You know, I was messing around with this sail, just trying to get it to fit, cutting it into place. And I want to make sure that once this is in, the roof's going to fit. So I took the time of actually, you know, putting all this together, just clamping it in, just to see if things will fit, because everything's moved around so much, I really don't know if things are going to go in the right place anymore. So it's a little scary, but I put it on, and it looks cool. This is the first time I've actually seen this car start coming together. In the 3 months we've been on this, we've been just taking things off. You take one thing off, and I find rust, and you take the next thing off. It's nice to see it coming back together. So I like that everything lines up here. This is awesome. So I can now take this off, and I can start working on the other side. And today I actually got some help. So my wife's gonna be helping sand. So she's gonna spend her first time removing some of the rust here. So this is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for this. So what she's gonna do, she's gonna use 3 tools. She's gonna use this. It's just basically an impact gun. With that, that's an option, the slow one. Second option is this guy. Where are you running off to? Come back here.
Last time I almost caught fire, so I don't know.
That's right. And then the third guy is this guy. It's a little sticky, this one. Needs a little oil. And that's for getting in little areas like. But you see how powerful it is? Anyways, so you're gonna try all 3 of those. We're gonna put the gear on and you're gonna get started.
Okay. It's a bit loud, so let me put these.
Oh yeah.
Roll it under.
No, there are no spiders in that one. Okay. So you need to tighten it, just pull that. That might hurt your hair. Okay? It feels a little loose, so yeah, tighten it till it's tight, I guess. You got a weird head shape. Like I can't even tighten this properly.
I guess I should have tied my hair.
All right, I'll give you some of my nasty gloves. All right. Okay, give that drill a shot. So that's an impact gun with a. Alrighty. What do you think of that tool?
I mean, it's doing something, but not.
Slow, eh? And it works better if you're running like ever, but you pick a spot. You see, concentrate in it rather than running around everywhere. This is pretty deep rust here, so it's gonna be hard. Try that there.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty. Good job. And this one goes much faster, but it's a little more dangerous. Looks good. All right, good job. That's really good.
That was so much easier.
So much easier. So it's definitely worth using the pneumatic tools, that's for sure. Sometimes you can't get in all places, so this is a really nice one for areas like this. Mind you, here, most of them you could reach, but there's some weird areas I'm not going to, but I just want you to try it out, but really all you do is, and that's what it's like. Give it a shot. All right, so good job. How was that?
That was good. It's not as easy as the other one, but at least you can get in the crevice.
Yeah. So it's really good for that. So you can see, and you can see how dusty it gets, which is like, if you look at her mask, look how nice and white it is. This is my mask. Look how dirty it is. So you can really see the rust going. Do you really want that crap in your lungs? No. So I'm gonna be putting this on. Which one did you like the best? Which one do you want to use? This one? Okay, well, you're gonna keep going with that one. She's gonna keep going with that one, and I'm gonna get to the next thing. Alrighty, let's inspect her work. It actually looks really good. You did a really good job, especially for a first time.
Well, thank you.
There's really not much to it. Anybody could do this. You did a great job. You already saved me a hell of a lot of trouble. I was able to do some stuff on the other side, so yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Just gotta have the right tool and grind it out.
That's right. That's what it's all about. So what do you think of all this stuff now that you've started working on this?
It's pretty cool. Like, I'll have a whole different appreciation for the car, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just gonna be a pretty car. And, like, I'll know what it took to get it to that point, so.
That's right, because it is a lot of work. Like, it's a ton of hours, but when you see it coming together and you know you've done this.
Ton of hours, ton of days, ton of months, weeks.
Exactly, but you know, knowing that this is done and then you've done your work on it, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun stuff.
I'll appreciate it way more.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and like, look how awesome this is. Like, you know, a lot of people would hide this. I would really recommend people change the entire quarter panel and get this part, and even do the roof. As hard as it is, I think it's worth it, because like, you're doing all this stuff, you might as well just do it, you know what I mean? Like, these aren't protected normally, so, but it's a whole system. Like, one part goes on top of the other and everything.
You want to conserve the
structure.
Inside parts of it too, right?
Exactly, the structure. Like, what's the point of doing all the other stuff if you can't do this? So, cool, I'm gonna keep going. Thank you for your help. That was awesome. Thank you,
Keep it up, baby. You're doing great.
So that was really awesome to get her help. She did a great job. I should also mention that I actually ended up manufacturing the rest of this channel. When I tried to weld this, it was just burning right through, so I decided, go all new metal. I'm happy I did it. This is super strong now. This is definitely worth doing. Hopefully I don't have to do it on their side, but I feel like I might have to. But it's awesome knowing that this is good. So I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep removing the rust, put on my OSFO, and get this thing ready for paint. So we're back on the car here, and major progress has been done. I'm extremely excited with everything we've been able to accomplish, and this car is just about ready for putting the panels on. You know, it's been over 3 weeks since we ripped the roof off this car, and it's just been hit and rust after hit and rust, and extra task after extra task, so much stuff. And this kind of job, it's 90% getting things prepped, and then 10% is the actual putting on the panels. That's really the rewarding part, but that's where we're at right now. So let me tell you how we got here. So we began by revisiting the window channels on the roof. I took the time to actually remove these things, and these were a real pain in the ass, but they did come out, and it exposed a hell of a lot of rust underneath. So I'm really glad we were able to get these out, clean them out, and have them ready to go. There was also a little bit of repair work we had to do because there was holes in the channels. So then it was just about getting the panels ready for paint. So we took the panels, we removed all the paint where there's gonna be welds. So we took that off, and then we took the time to actually drill the holes wherever we're gonna have spot welds. And this is a real pain in the ass. It takes a really long time, very labor intensive, but we got it done. The next stage was just about taking a 120 and scuffing up the surface of the paint, adding some tooth. Tooth is just basically texture so that the primer could adhere better. And I opted not to remove the EDP coating. EDP basically stands for Electrode Deposit Primer. This primer is put on in Taiwan, and it's a rather sophisticated paint actually. I've looked at this stuff and I've seen a lot of experts say actually it's really good stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping it on, at least on the inside of the panels. On the outside when I do the car, I'm probably gonna remove it because I want it all the same, but for the inside, I figure it's just another layer of protection. Like, think about this, you got the coating, you got the primer, and you got the paint. That's 3 layers of protection. If that thing rusts, then I have no idea, like, I don't even know what you would do at that point because that's just a crazy amount of work. So we're gonna keep it on. So then it was just about cleaning up the panels and also running around the car and removing everything with a wax and grease remover. We just use Eastwood's pre-painting prep. Now I really like this stuff. It works really well for getting the surface ready for paint, so that's what I've been using. Now prior to doing any painting on this, anywhere we had asphalt, we just grab some lacquer thinner, splash it on and clean it up. This just removes the acidity, brings it down, makes sure that our paint is going to last for a very long time. So the next stage in my mind is one of the most important ones. So we had removed the paint off the panels, and now it was time to use our weld through primer. So we put on our weld through primer all the areas we're going to be welding so that the metal doesn't rust. Now when I was taking all this stuff apart, the thing that amazed me most was the amount of rust between panels. Now they just sandwiched two pieces of metal together, they didn't use any sort of primer, and you saw the results. It's a crazy amount of rust. So using the primer really helps. And I'm not using the cheap stuff. So this is what I used. It's the expensive stuff, it's copper based. I think it's worth investing the money into this because it's so much work, might as well go for top of the line. And I used copper instead of zinc. And the reasoning for that, well, there's a whole science to it. So basically that's in our floor pan video, so you can check that out if you're interested in why we did that. Plus there's a lot of good information how to get panels ready and whatnot. And once the weld through primer is on, it was just about taping off the surface and then getting to our epoxy primer. So for epoxy primer, we use this stuff. This is freaking awesome. I love this product just because it's in a can. This is the Spray Max 2K epoxy primer in a can. Now this stuff's awesome. We've been using it all over the car. I've been really impressed with the results. So this is a two-part system. So basically underneath, you just have this valve here. You press it in, you mix it together, and bam, away you go. Aerosol, epoxy in a can, pretty cool. This is awesome stuff. This stuff has been an absolute game changer for us because we're not using a spray gun or compressor or any of that. You don't have to mix anything together. You just grab it, get your stuff ready and use it. It's very convenient. I think for smaller jobs like this, it's definitely worth going like this because it's just easier, a lot less mess and everything, and it's not that expensive. And we did this about 2 times, in some places 3, just made sure we had really good coverage. The epoxy did an amazing job. I was really impressed with the results. It was such an even spray. For something in a can, honestly, it spreads really well, and this stuff is super durable. In some areas I did a couple weeks ago, I had to remove some stuff, and it was really hard to remove, so this stuff is actually pretty decent. I'm pretty surprised considering it's in a can. I think the most important thing with this is just to follow the instructions properly. So to shake it for 2 minutes, you press the thing, and then you shake it for another 2 minutes. You really want that stuff to mix properly. But other than that, and there's not really too many things I could say bad about it. So far, I've had a pretty good experience. For painting the actual panels of the car, this is what we use, just the Eastwood Chassis Black. This is great stuff, very durable. We've been using it in all the hidden areas or areas that are gonna be behind interior and whatnot. And it's just a safe color. It's a satin finish, so it looks decent. It's really durable stuff, and the product's really good. So we sprayed it on all our panels. We did 2 coats, sprayed it on the car, and it looks great. I'm really pleased with the result. Overall, it looks awesome. So it's nice to know that this is protected, and considering the fact that there was nothing here before, and now we got OSPO, we got epoxy primer, and we have this, it's crazy. Like 3 layers of protection. I don't think this will ever rust again. I'd be very surprised if it would. Now, although it's a lot of work, to take off the roof and the sails and everything, other than just treating rust, what it does, it opens you up to other opportunities to improve the car. So one thing I was able to do was actually do this, add on some seatbelt anchors. So I welded on these seatbelt anchors, and now we have 3-point belts front and back. This is just awesome, just another layer of security so that this car has got modern standards. At the same time, adding this in and the new channel just made this super freaking strong. Like, this is insane. So just strengthen the structure. It's just an awesome upgrade to have in this car. But the ones I'm really proud of are the ones in the front. And now these things look almost factory. I'm so happy with how they turned out. At the same time, it's awesome knowing that there's that extra layer of security with this car now. I should also mention one of the things that made these jobs really easy is the ability to use air tools. The pneumatic tools are great, and earlier on this year I upgraded my air compressor and I actually downsized. I went from a 15 to about an 8 gallon. But the thing is, this 8 gallon, it just charges so much quicker and it's high output, and I gotta tell you, for the vast majority, the tools actually work really well. So I'm really pleased with like the 90-degree angle grinder. I'm really pleased with the air hammer. Those work great. It's only the air belt sander that kind of lags behind, but for what I'm doing, the small little operation I got going on here, this thing's great. So I'm really pleased with it. This air compressor definitely impressed me. And like, listen how quiet this is. I can still have a conversation. I'm right beside it and you can still hear me. Now check this thing out. Can you hear me? This will drive you crazy. That's no bueno. This is where we're gonna go. This is pretty cool. All right, so the culmination of all the hard work and effort, it's been almost 3 months working on this car, comes down to this. It's time to start putting stuff on. And I'm sure as hell nervous about this. Thus far the job's gone really well. I've learned so much on this job. It's been so much fun. I've been working on the car for almost 3 months now. So I'm pretty nervous about actually putting stuff back on because it's always a lot more difficult than you think. but I'm just praying to God that trunk closes. So when I put everything on, I'm gonna kind of see if it closes before I weld anything. So let's get started. Let's start working on these sails. Check it out, she's all good to go. She's even got the roof on. That's right, we slapped the roof on. So if you're watching this, you can check out the previous video how we put the roof on. It's all linked together. Now you get a good idea of how much work it takes to do something like this. That's a big job. I can't believe I was able to do all this. You know, this is crazy. Putting the roof on, all the sails and stuff. You know, I had no confidence in myself doing this. I just kind of started doing it. I have this trick, and I started a long time ago when I used to fix houses. In my house, I just took a hammer and I just shoved it right through the drywall. I've never done that before, and I was like, oh my God, now I gotta do it. I did the same thing with these sails, just cut them off, got them out of the way. It's just like, you just gotta do it, you know what I mean? I'm so glad I did. Now I know all the rust everywhere. It's all the rust, anywhere it's hidden, it's been taken care of. The next part is actually these wacky quarter panels. So yes, we had to put this on, we welded this all together, and then on the other side, it's gonna rust. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna treat that by doing the quarter panels. That's why I like to start from the top, go down. We're gonna be able to treat from the inside, so that's gonna be the next video. And there's gonna be a lot of tricks there because there's a lot of stuff we still have to do. So I can't wait to tackle this. It's kind of a mess, and the other side is a disaster, but I have some solutions I'm gonna try out. I have no idea if they're gonna work. I've never done quarter panels before, so that's the next thing. But in terms of this, I'm pretty damn happy. Now, another thing that's really cool about this is today is the last day. I had set myself a goal when I first started this 3 months in advance, and I said that today's the cutoff day. And look, it's the last day. I got everything done, literally to the last minute, you know? I got a half hour left. No, I didn't get to do quarter panels, but I never expected to do the whole roof. So the fact that I was able to get all this stuff done, I'm so happy. So the next thing I want to do is actually I want to ask you guys a question. You've seen me do so many projects here before, and we're going to do everything. It's take a couple of years to do all this stuff. What do you want to see us do on this car? Like, what projects would you want to see? Give us ideas, because we got to tackle all this stuff anyways. Maybe there's something out there we haven't thought of. I'd love to hear what you think. At the same time, being this is my first time doing all this stuff, I got a book here. I'm adding all this stuff I'm learning into it. So when I'm done, I'm going to have all the different jobs I did. And it takes a lot of research just to be able to do this. So prior to doing any video, I spend, 2-3 months of research, watching videos, getting information. That's why I have an idea of what I'm doing, even if I don't know what I'm doing. So next video is quarter panels. Make sure you guys check it out. And subscribe to the channel. If you like all this, please subscribe. We appreciate the support, and let us know what you thought of this video. I'd love to hear from you guys. We'll see you next time.